plans, and
I thought so.
they, I guess I heard from Maggie Van Camp said
Nope,
that
it's 7 o'clock.
they were trying, hoping that they
7
would
o'clock,
get
I'm gonna
torn
call the
down
meeting to order.
before winter, but they didn't.
Jamie, if you could take roll call.
Yep. Dee Hageman,
Here.
Diane Howard, Kathy Michigan,
Here.
Eric McAlligander,
Here.
Lisa Blackburn,
Here.
Michael Jorney,
Here.
James Miller, absent.
Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Also move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is approval of the regular council meeting minutes from November 24th, 2025. Is there a motion?
I'm going to approve the regular council meeting minutes of November 24th.
I will second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is public comment not on the published agenda. If anybody would like to come up and speak, you can speak for 3 minutes. Please list your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Berry, and I reside on Overlook Circle in Bingham Woods. I'm also Bingham Woods Association President. I'm really here today just to speak a little bit about the flock cameras. I realized that flock cameras were a topic of discussion in the October meeting, Village Council meeting. And I know this is a one-way conversation. I don't expect any response today, but I did want to inform the council that Bingham Woods Association is also considering purchasing a flock camera in the near future. And one of the things that we were hoping was that we could get a greater understanding as to whether or not the village is planning as well to purchase any flock cameras, and how we might be able to work along with you to address the yearly cost of that camera. We are prepared right now to review our budgets, and we're going through some things, and we are highly considering purchasing one that would go on 13 Mile and River Crossing streets. Chief Lawson was very generous with his time in October. He came to our association board meeting, explained to us really what the benefit is to the community for safety as well as connectivity, and it provides them more visibility across the entire community throughout Oakland County and not just throughout Bingham Farms. And we felt that that was very important for us to be a part of that. We as a board really just have a couple of questions that we're hoping you can answer in the near future for us, which one is if you're in fact even considering purchasing any of the flock cameras, and where would those cameras be installed? We would not, we would hope that we could be a part of that discussion because of where ours might as well be installed. And then would the council be willing to share in those yearly fees that are associated with the camera that Bingham Woods is considering purchasing? And that probably would be in that consideration as our budget year starts in April of next year, of 2026. I know that when I read the minutes from October, it seemed like that was a question. I believe that Trustee Miller, who isn't here this evening, had brought up the question as to whether or not the council would consider that in the future, and we hope you will. And we hope that we can also be a part of that discussion as we are highly considering purchasing one as well. And we want to thank Chief Lawson for coming to us and explaining what the benefits were. And hopefully we can work together again in the future. Thank you. Have a happy holiday.
You too.
Thank you.
I can call you tomorrow.
Thank you.
That's okay? Okay. Is there any other public comment? Okay. Moving to discussion topics, we're going to start with the police department. Chief Kurt is here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, and hope everyone has a happy holiday. If you look at the report that I submitted last month, not a lot going on as far as crime, which is a good thing. The one thing that we just had last week was we did have a stolen car on Old Orchard Trail. I encourage all the residents not to leave their keys in the car. That's very helpful to us. But on a positive point, we're able to recover that vehicle. It was not damaged, it was intact, down in the beautiful city of Detroit, and we do have one person that's in custody that did take that vehicle. I also want to remind the residents here in Bingham Farms that we do vacation checks. So when you leave this beautiful weather for somewhere warm, we'll check your house for you. And you can go on franklinmi.us and you can fill out a vacation form and we'll check your house for you while you're gone. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Happy holidays. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Next is the Fire Department Monthly Report. Chief Tony is here.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Good evening.
You've also received our written report for the month. Just wanted to provide an update regarding EMS transport for the villages. We have increased the number of transports that have been provided to village residents and those traveling through. Unfortunately, it's because they're in need of going to the hospital. With reference to the billing side of this, though, we had a 43-day government shutdown, which certainly did not help us in terms of registering with Medicare. So as that's back up and running, we are going through the process. We have a billing provider that we're working with, but things just take time. So needless to say, regardless of the billing aspect of this, we're working on this as more getting in fine tune with the needs of the hospitals that we'll be supporting, which will be namely Corwell Health in Royal Oak, as well as Henry Ford Hospital in West Bloomfield. So pending your questions, that'll conclude my report.
Chief, I do have at our meeting last week, you did a great explanation of response time. Could you share that with this crew? I'd appreciate it.
Sure, and actually, we're gonna be changing that again. So before I get into that slight rabbit hole, the federal government has decided that what we've been using for fire reporting over the last 35-ish years, the NFIR system is going to change starting next month. The new system is called NERIS, and NERIS was created by the Fire Research Standards Institute. So we are in the process of switching over our reporting to that. So not in January, but in February, you will see hopefully a similar content to the report. However, some things may change. One of those is going to be times. I know that was brought up before. One of the items that we first saw in terms of times is placing on the report an average response time. So in looking at average response time, and let's back this up to say, imagine you're having an emergency. You pick up the phone, you dial a number, 911, somebody picks that up. Bingham Farms, that's a little unique because depending where you are in the village, you could reach Bloomfield Township, you could reach the Michigan State Police, or you could reach the city of Southfield. Any one of those public safety answering points or PSAPs is very well qualified to answer the call and to deal with the information or the incident that's taken place. Needless to say, the call ends up going to Bloomfield Township, who is the 911 dispatch center for the fire and police departments for Bingham Farms. That dispatcher will then dispatch out the appropriate response units. There is a slight lag time, though, between when the call is taken to when the dispatch is transmitted out. Fire units will respond, and then fire units will arrive on scene. And so we have another time for that. And then it goes so on and so forth throughout the lifespan of the incident. One of the items that we had discovered several months ago was that in terms of firefighter staff completing reports, they were not discriminating between the time that the call was received by Bloomfield Township and the time the call was dispatched by Bloomfield Township. This could be seconds to 2 minutes, we'll say, depending on the workload going on within Bloomfield Township and the priority of the call. Now we've seen this, these dwell times are not significant in terms of one dispatch center over another, because every dispatch center has their own processes that they go through. We saw this when we were with Oakland County as well. So 2 months ago, we started getting more precise in terms of which number to use, and those numbers have shown that our response times have gone down to probably 5 minutes, 20 seconds to 5 minutes, 30 seconds. So we've lost about a minute on average. Now, that is not actually correct, though, because we have to look at the type of call. So Franklin Road is 25 miles an hour, 13-mile road, 45 miles an hour. 14-mile road is 40 miles an hour until you hit Telegraph, and then it goes down once you're in, I don't know, Bingham Farms doesn't have 14 miles, so that would still be Bloomfield Township, I think. But the speed, needless to say, the speed is the speed. The limit's the limit. If we're called, and we've been getting calls lately for, as an example, lift assists on a street in Bingham Farms. We've had 2 of them over this past weekend. And a lift assist is not an emergency. It doesn't require the use of lights and sirens. And the whole lights and sirens concept I can discuss further if you want. But needless to say, if we're looking at pure times, those average times, if they're all consolidated, are going to be artificial between emergencies and non-emergencies. So what we've been doing up to this point is giving you one time that is more reflective of the average for all calls, emergencies and non-emergencies, located in Franklin, Bingham Farms, whether they're commercial, residential, or on the road systems. And what we're working on now is updating those times to be more reflective of emergency calls and non-emergency calls, so that way you can see the difference. Now, the reality is going to be this. If you're going to see time differences, it will be measured in seconds, not minutes, for the most part. In some cases where we have simultaneous calls, the higher priority call will obviously get the better response, but it's because it's a higher priority call. We strive to do the best we can with what we have, and in terms of those times, what you will hopefully start to see is more of a division of times between emergency calls and non-emergency, or emergent and non-emergent calls. So you can look forward to that in future reports.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any further questions?
Chief Lawson, same thing with you, as far as response times? Very similar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy
Thanks, Tom.
holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Next is the Administrative Assistant Economic Development Coordinator report. Yep.
I'd love to, but I don't wanna skip over.
Oh, I'm
it.
sorry. I already crushed. Yeah, sorry. Village Manager's report. Jamie?
My report's in the packet. I don't have anything to add, besides I hope everyone enjoys their holidays.
Sorry. Okay.
Alright, likewise, my report's in the packet. The only thing I want to add to anybody who's here or watching from home, both of the trash collection dates, during the holidays will be moved to the Friday following the holiday, because both Thursday, December 25th, Christmas Day falls on our regular collection, as well as New Year's Day on January 1st. That is all.
Okay. Thank you. Next is board and committee updates. Not really sure how we're doing this, but
Right,
does
I'll
anybody
just go
have
around the
anything?
table. Okay, there was no cable board meeting this month, but we did have a Christmas party at Rusty Bucket a week ago. The fire commission, we did get a chance to look at a preliminary, 5-year plan and budget, with the plan to include adding 1 firefighter per year, starting in, I think, either 2026 or 27, depending on how the budgets go.
Anybody else? Okay. Moving on to new business, we have Brad Shepler here from HRC with our road project update.
Okay.
So our 2025 road project is on hiatus now for the winter. It's not really conducive to do much work now. We have everything done except for one brick paver driveway was not able to be completed, but we did speak with that resident, and rather than try and fit it in during a warmer time this winter, he'd rather just wait till the spring to get it done. So we will coordinate with him on when he wants to get that done, make sure it's done properly. We still have punch list stuff. We need to make sure all the grass establishes and things like that. And we have a couple repairs to do. Forecasting final dollar amount. We probably have another $50,000 maybe at most to spend on the contract, which would put us about $250,000 to $300,000 below our budget or below the bid amount. So that's a good thing. Does anyone have any questions about that project before I move on?
I do. In areas where we've already seen some cracking on the side of the roads, is that covered in the cost, or is that gonna be an additional repair cost?
So it depends on if there is apparent damage along the side of the road. I did see the one area that did crack, but there's a huge tire rut
Yeah.
that's right next to it. So, you know, the contractor can't protect the road from, you know, frost heaving, things like that. We did have an early frost followed by a thaw. That's why we have frost laws in the spring, things like that. When the weather in the ground kind of gets like that, it's very susceptible to things like edge cracking. So with those pictures, that's probably gonna be an additional cost if we wanna get that sealed.
Okay.
But that's already baked into that $50,000 extra that I was talking about.
Okay.
So that is unfortunate. There also may be other ways the village can try and discuss with the construction crews in the area that are still working that may have caused this to fix that as well. Because it did look like a heavy truck.
Yeah.
That made that. It's not Amazon, it's not a passenger vehicle, nothing like that would have caused something like that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. On December 4th, we met with MDOT regarding the village's TEDF grant that they received and all the next steps that we need to go about that. If you recall, back in April, I believe, of 2025, we came here and we got a resolution to apply for said grant, which the village received. The next step in this process is to fill out a program application for that. We are going down that route currently. It's a pretty easy application. And then once that's applied for and approved, an agreement will come in front of you to sign, to read through and sign. And then we can get started with all the design work. There's also a proposal in front of you. Apologize it did not get to you in time to make it into your packets. So I understand if you don't want to discuss it tonight. We can come back in January and discuss more. We should have the agreement by then as well. But that would be for the design and grant administration and construction administration for the entire project. So I don't expect you to read through it right now and talk about it, but you can have it for January.
So just as a review, we were kind of waiting to see if the grant would come through before we decided which one would be phase 2 or phase 3, right? Bristol or Coach Light, so still north, so.
So this grant this grant only covers the Coach Light and Old Stage areas.
Right, so that means we're gonna go to phase 2 would be Coach Light and Old Stage.
Correct, essentially, if you
Right.
want to, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, yes.
Right,
Yeah.
this was a little bit of a deciding factor.
So that's also concrete, so that wouldn't, we want to do that separate.
Right,
as
right,
well.
right. But I feel like we are still wavering, so because we did get this, grant, thank you very much for all your efforts on that. It does look like we're gonna do phase 2, Coach Light and Old Stage.
It would be
I just wanted
recommended
to
as the
clear
last
that.
year for this grant, so they're not continuing this grant past this year. So if you don't go for it, then it's not gonna be offered.
Right, no.
Right.
So-
Feel
So
like-
we have to start the project to get the money, obviously.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. This year being 2025 or 2026?
It'll expire, I think, October 2026.
Okay.
So we need to get it done.
We need to get it done, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
Good.
so there's that. I believe in Jamie's packet, talked about the free Pazer ratings that SEMCOG is gonna provide. We did apply for that and got the approval of that, so this summer they would rate the roads and hopefully we'll see straight up how much this road program this summer affected that rating. I believe we were down in the mid-4s, which is still good for most of these areas, but I would foresee a large increase in that average rating. And then lastly, when you start your budgeting for fiscal year 27, I would recommend you think about the phase 3 for Bristol Lane. Hopefully by then we'll have a better idea, and again, we're pretty close already on this first phase on where we're gonna end up in terms of construction and engineering. We've been keeping you up to date with the not to exceed limit and where we stand with our bills, plus the contractor bills, plus what we have for this phase 2, if you wanna call it, for concrete, to see with the money that you had saved, the money that you got from the, what was it, the Michigan, the fund that you borrowed from. the SIB,
Yes.
yes, SIB. If that money,
State
where exactly you stand there, if it might be reasonable to maybe start the survey and design fiscal year 27, and then construction potentially fiscal year 28 or 29. The longer that we have, because there's certain aspects of the design that aren't gonna go bad. You could take your survey, right? We could make sure we monitor all the Bristol Lane roads for drainage concerns and things like that. I believe we did that last time, but we had a smaller window. If we increase that window, we have more chances to get big storms, see drainage, see where the problems are, things like that, document them, report back to you what we've seen, make sure everyone is in agreement with that. You know, just prolong the process. I don't think that's gonna hurt any, to gather more data. So I think you might wanna start thinking about that as you move forward. 'Cause I don't think you're gonna have the money to build it in the summer of 2027, but soon thereafter. So the more data you can collect, the better. So just start thinking about that would be my recommendation.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay? And that's all I have, unless anyone has any more questions.
Did you wanna say something about the PASER rating, or no? Is it- Yeah,
You said it was in the report, so I figured.
this week. It's not in yet. It's the Friday
Oh,
report.
I'm sorry, Jamie.
We just got confirmation today.
Sorry.
I remember reading that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in yet,
Now
but
you said,
now.
well, it's on your report.
Yes,
There.
the cat's
Well,
out of the bag.
Forget you heard
PASER
that, I did
rating.
not say anything.
Yep, no,
Yeah,
it's
we
a
just
good.
heard back today, so you'll get an email about that, yeah.
Right. Are there any questions? I can, go ahead, quick.
Yeah, Tony Grunion, also from Bingham Woods. We met earlier with Jamie, and you've heard my pitch before. I was on the road study committee, and we in Bingham Woods would like to see if there's a mutual benefit in combining our paving projects with village paving projects, in the hope we would all get a little better per unit price because of the bigger amount that we would be purchasing. This seemed like a good time. Everybody's planning road projects. We are, you are, obviously are. We'd like to keep this conversation going and see if we can all benefit by perhaps combining. We gave Jamie some basic information about what we contemplate doing in the next year or two. And if it's compatible with what you're doing, maybe we can do something that will benefit all of us. That's
Okay.
why we're here.
Can you speak to this, please?
Yeah, so typically we don't recommend villages and cities kind of combining private work with public work. While there is an economy of scale in terms of asphalt, things like that, there's also municipal work is typically more costly than private work because of all the bonds and insurances that are necessary. Sometimes there's paying wage rates, things like that are also involved that create the cost of the work to be more expensive. So where the economy of scale will reduce the price, the actual cost of the work increases, it kind of balances out sometimes. Also, it puts a higher risk on the village in terms of what the type of work being done. So the village is inherently, if they're added to the bonds and insurances, there's an inherent risk that the village adds to their contract. What we would recommend is we will give you the contractor's name and everything, and if he wants to contract separately with you at the same time, then that would be the way that we would typically recommend it going. Where you have your own bonds and insurances, you have your own scope of work, it's all done by you, you have complete control over that. It's the same contractor, but you have complete control, and you're not intermixing with the village, because again, there lies a higher risk for the village. So that's what we would recommend. We can get you that information ahead of time. I would recommend you have your scope of work, what you want to do, prepared for the time, and you will know when the village is doing their work. We'll keep you apprised of that. this summer's gonna be concrete work. I don't know if you guys have concrete roads.
No concrete roads, we have concrete work.
You do have some concrete work?
Catch basins, sidewalks, curbs,
Okay.
right.
So, again, we'll publicize which contractor it is. And typically, after the project gets bid, there is a month or 2 month process while we get through the contract, something that you would have to contact them and give them your scope and say, hey, would you like to enter into contract with us as well at the same time? Because they may want to, they may not also want to, because they may not want to do smaller private work either, depending on the size of their company.
Is that a council decision then?
Do you want to speak?
Yeah, I would support that recommendation. It is inappropriate for any municipality to get into negotiations between private property and work that needs to be done on private property with contractors. And providing the name and seeing if the contractor wants to work with neighbors and property owners to perhaps change a rate is up to private property owners to reach out, but it's inappropriate for us to get involved in that.
And we get it all the time. I mean, even like a resident that wants their driveway done.
I know.
You know, we still
Beverly
say.
Hills has offered that, their private road neighborhoods,
Mm.
just piggybacking on and then paying your pro rata share. Beverly Hills has done that for quite a long time.
Not since I've been working in Beverly Hills, but.
When I was on council, they were doing that for quite a time.
But I don't know if they got in trouble with it or something, but since I've been working there, we've always been very clear cut on, even any of those bump out things that they have, those parking, we don't touch anything that's private with our public work as much as possible. So, again, we do the same thing, we say, here's your contract, you wanna negotiate with the contractor, go right ahead, but the public entity is out of it.
Anything else? Okay.
How would we begin to make this happen?
So we'll have a meeting and we will go out for bid. We'll discuss the contractor, and you guys would be able to hear what we're saying because it's a public meeting, and then you would contact that contractor completely separately.
Right.
Do you wanna get a scope of work first? That would be my recommendation, figure out which, you got that already. And that's the first step, so, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great, have a great holiday, everyone.
You
Thanks for your
too.
time.
You too. Next, we have our 2024-2025 fiscal year audit. Raina is here from PSLZ to present that to us. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. Nice to see everyone. We have a good report this evening. Once again, the village has received the highest level of audit opinion possible, which is an unmodified opinion. Nothing adverse, no disclaimers, exceptions to report to you this evening. So that's what everyone wants to hear, a clean audit opinion. Starting off with some highlights, you've had a lot going on this year. The overall revenue was up, but expenditures were up as well. The property taxes, you went up a mill specifically for the roads. But in addition to that, your taxable values increased 5.1%, which what we're seeing locally is about 3.9. So that's not just an inflation index that you went up 5.1. That's additional value within the village, additions, new homes, that type of thing that's driving that. So everyone else is a little bit below 5, and you're a little bit above 5. So yes. State share revenue was flat this year. We're not anticipating any big increases next year, given what they're trying to do in Lansing with their current budget that they adopted. Stay tuned, let's see how that really impacts us. Investment earnings were, so the prior year were very strong, and we kept it's pretty much right on par with the prior year. So another strong year in investment earnings. You had a couple grants, so we finished up the American Rescue Plan Act grant, and we have still this Oakland County critical infrastructure grant. You still have some funds available for that. We have about $85,000 left of that Oakland County critical infrastructure that you have going forward with that. Ending fund balance, $1.7 million, but that is, you were projecting that. So, you're doing that on purpose for the road projects, and significant increases. Police contract expense went up about 4%, and fire protection was up about 13% this year. So that was, everything else was very stable in the general fund as far as expenditures go. And then, of course, the real story, of course, is major local street funds, the road improvement project. Starting with the gas and weight revenues that you received, we received about 5% more than the prior year from the state. Again, stay tuned on how that's gonna be impacted going forward as well, because they've done some things at the state level with the sales tax and that type of thing on the fuel. So we'll see how that trickles down to the village. So far, they're not saying any significant impact, but again, I don't think this is all, it hasn't shaken out yet exactly. The village did the $2 million state infrastructure bank loan, we call the SIB loan that you received, is split between the major and local street funds, but in total it was $2 billion. It is shown as revenue in the audit. You received it in May. And it's based on the percentages of your road improvement project. 38% was major streets and 62% was local streets. So it was apportioned appropriately, respectively. If going forward we need to move that around a little bit, I think we have some leeway on that. And the state doesn't care whether you spend it on major or local. They just want it spent on the streets. So stay tuned, but that is shown as revenue. That's why your major local street fund balances look strong. This is the beginning, so consider as of June 30th, 2025 is the beginning of this project. So you have some engineering design work, and you have maybe the first construction application that you paid to Florence. So the bulk of it's gonna be in the year you're currently in fiscal year 26. So this will be a cash flow game, really. You also assess the special assessments that I think they were due in May also. So that is reflected in the major and local street funds. Again, if you're, if you were assessed and you are on a major street versus a local street, that's how it's being apportioned. But in total, it is, and Yevgeny has done a really nice job. This is new to the village, the whole parcel scenario, and he did a really nice job with that. I mean, that was tricky. So and I came reconciled from a different angle. Everything came right out. So I was actually very impressed with that. So thank you. You made my life better too. So in total, road improvement expense this year between major and local, you spent $737,000 so far. So that's where you're at with that. But again, it's going to be a cash flow game that we're going to watch closely to make sure, because it really comes into play. You're fine with phase 1. Phase 2, we'll see like what you're going, what that project will be, how much that entails, and you're sitting strong right now, and I think you'll be just fine. But that's just something you'll keep your eye on. But with that, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to address them tonight.
Any questions?
I don't think I have any questions. Maybe a couple of comments. First of all, I know Bill's been out for the past couple of months, so thank you, and thank Jamie, Yev, everybody that stepped in to fill the gap. It's much appreciated by the council. I think it's appreciated by everybody in Bingham Farms. Again, being still new to the council, about a year now, I see the way that our treasurer and our staff manages the financials of this village is very good. I see the investment income as being excellent. I think Bill and the team make really good decisions of where to put the money, where to move the money, when to move the money. Maybe a question as I just think out loud, because you do a lot of audits, obviously, and I think the report you've given us is a good report. I mean, maybe this isn't fair, would you say that Bingham Farms is doing a good job, an excellent job, a fair job, a poor job in general? Is that a fair question?
You mean as far as
just the way
economics of it?
Yeah.
Again, you're doing a great job because you keep your operating expenses very stable. You don't have any big spikes or things like that. Of course, you're keeping your eye on police and fire right now, and making sure that you can you're not trying to hit the residents with anything, significant, as far as cost increases. We want to try and keep everything very stable. So your operating expenses you really have kept under wraps. That's not new, that's very, you've done a really nice job with that. And, your budgets make a lot of sense, you put a lot of thought to it. And that's why you can do these capital projects like this, which really it's a completely different animal than running the day-to-day operations. Because as, we talk about, we've got the special assessments, we borrowed money from the state, these are different elements that really you have to keep it's like a puzzle that all has to come together. And again, right now, we have good cash flow because we're just starting this. And we really have to watch it because those are gonna be very big expenditures coming at the village. But you are in a great shape to monitor that. You have a very good processes, you have great people, and respectfully, we really appreciate council's support on that as well, to let us do what we do. And, they call, if they have questions, we don't wait till the end of the year. We talk all the time. So, we solve a lot of things as they come up and not wait around and let things grow into different things.
Well, good. Again, thanks for your help. I think it's good for us. I think it's good for the residents to hear that the village is doing a good job with the financial aspect of the village. And if Bill's listening, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks,
Yes,
Jamie.
we probably.
I know he is. That's why I'm saying that. But it's been a good year this year, I think, for me to be on here for the first year, to see how the village works and taking care of the residents' money, quite frankly. Thanks.
One kind of off-the-wall question, and this has been brought up in another meeting I was in, that the Headley Act may go away. Have you heard anything on that?
So that's,
Something going on in
it's
Lansing?
very, very preliminary. What I've heard is that there's a movement, but it's just a movement so far. So it really hasn't taken any traction in Lansing yet. There's people talk about things like getting rid of property taxes altogether. There's that movement as well. So none of this is really, forming anything in Lansing yet. It is talk. Someone does need to look at it. You would think the assessors would get together and propose something, because there are things that just aren't working well for the residents. And just someone to look at it, okay, we've been, since 1994, we should probably take a look at how this is, we've had a lot of economic ups and downs and how that impacts. It would be nice if someone, even if it's fine and we stay the course, it'd be nice if someone looked at that and give some suggestions on how maybe we could make it better. The whole fact of people having to stay in their homes because, you try and downsize and you really can't, because now you're gonna pay more in property taxes for a smaller house. And, you all know the story.
Yeah.
So that's those type of things. It would be nice if, maybe there's a solution to that, and just having a task force of someone looking at it, and I think assessors are probably in a good spot to do something like that. But I hope so. I hope they're.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I just kind of echo what Eric said, thank you so much. You're just so helpful and so supportive to staff, council, Bill, and really helped us pick up, from missing Bill, but we came out fine. And
Bill did a lot of heavy
we're
lifting
good.
before he,
Yeah, he
before
did
left.
a
So-
lot of work on this as well,
Yes,
so it
we
takes
were
everybody.
in good shape by then.
Yeah. So if there's no other questions, we do need a motion. And would that be just to accept the audit?
You got it.
I'll move that we accept the audit as presented by Lynn.
For 2024, 2025.
Yep.
I will second that.
Let's do a roll call.
Blackburn,
Aye.
Deroni,
Aye.
Hagerman,
Aye.
Howard, Michigan,
Aye.
McAlexander,
Aye.
Miller.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fantastic,
Everyone
thank
have
you.
a nice holiday.
Have a
Merry
nice
Christmas.
holiday.
Merry
Thank you
Christmas.
so much for coming tonight. And we will move on to the Planning Commission reappointments. Jamie?
There are 3 planning commissioners up for reappointment. All are interested in being reappointed. And so there are suggested motions in your packet, if that is the council wishes to do.
Can the motion include all three names?
Sure, you could make one motion with all three names, yep.
Then I move that we reappoint Amanda Mosheri, Dean Nelson, and Gino Del Pup to the Village Planning Commission for the next 3 years, term ending in December 2028.
Okay.
For a second,
I'll second.
any discussion? Do we need a roll call? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is the deer management discussion, and I am going to let trustee Nick Alexander start the conversation.
Thank you. There is a paper in the packet, if anybody would want to follow along. For people that might be listening, I would like to take a few minutes, if it's okay, to kind of go through what that I put together. I want to make sure everybody understands this is research that I've done. I'm not a lawyer, I've said that many times here, but I can research things as well as anybody, I think. And I want to start off by saying that the deer management that has been discussed so far, and many of the discussions I've been involved in at least, includes discussion about a deer call. And I just think this would be, at least, if nothing else, valuable information for the residents to know and for the council to know and for the committee to know about some of the challenges that my research has reflected that Bingham Farms might have in even considering a deer call. So I'm going to start, I don't usually just read, but I'm going to try to stay on track here to keep this as much as on target as I can. The white-tailed deer population in southeast Michigan has increased significantly over the past several decades. That's particularly true in suburban environments. This resulted in concerns related to landscape damage, ecological impacts, traffic safety. In response, some Michigan municipalities have explored or implemented deer culling programs, while others rely solely on non-lethal deer management programs. Bingham Farms is no exception to the increase in deer populations. Several residents have recently spoken at village council meetings regarding the deer population in Bingham Farms, specifically what can be done to address the damage to landscapes and even aggressive behavior in some instances. Subsequent to these comments from residents, the village council approved a motion to form a committee. The purpose of that committee was defined as fact-finding common best practices for urban deer management. The committee was proposed to consist of 2 village trustees and 2 resident volunteers. It's been debated after that motion was passed that the village staff might not have the capacity to take on this project as a priority. Recent experience with the roads committee, made up of village staff, village trustees, and resident volunteers, is an example, I think, of how effective such committees can be, but also recognizing how much time and support these committees require. To support this deer management effort, this paper has been prepared to address one of the most common practices for urban deer management, and that is the deer call. And a deer call can be lethal or non-lethal. Additionally, we might recommend that the committee focus on deer management programs that may be effectively managed, even as part of a village master plan, part of the planning commission, while excluding the very time-consuming and expensive task of determining if and how to implement a deer call. And it may allow for the village staff to support a less time-consuming effort and still accomplish the goals of the committee. This may also serve as a foundation for the village council to communicate to all residents of Bingham Farms the recognition that the problems created by the increase in the deer exist, and at the same time educating residents on the challenges that exist when considering options on how to manage the deer population. It also explores legal, regulatory, safety, procedural realities of deer calls as they apply to our village. It also talks a little bit about approaches taken by neighboring communities. That includes Ann Arbor, Farmington Hills, and Southfield. So again, just to outline the scope of what was looked at and trying to accomplish, looking to try to clarify the legal authority that governing deer management in the legal authority governing deer management in Michigan and Bingham Farms, because it is for sure a legal issue. Explain whether and how deer culling could be approved. summarize regional deer management practices, identify lawful deer management options available to the residents, and provide objective background for consideration. One thing that was not done and was not intended to do was propose anything for that matter, much less ordinance changes, nor does it advocate for a specific policy. Ordinance changes or temporary lifts of ordinance bans are possible with village council approval, but again, those things weren't considered. Just some statements of what at least I believe to be fact. Michigan law allows deer to be harvested only during designated hunting seasons with proper licensing and tagging and in compliance with safety zones, which means 150 yards from occupied structures. State law explicitly authorizes municipalities like Bingham Farms to adopt more restrictive legal regulations, including full prohibitions on hunting and weapon discharge. Local governments, including Bingham Farms, may prohibit hunting within municipal boundaries, may ban firearm or bow discharge, and can regulate wildlife management activities. Where local ordinances are more restrictive than state law, the local ordinances prevail. Specific to Bingham Farms, the Village of Bingham Farms, and this is in its charter and it's in ordinances, the Village of Bingham Farms prohibits hunting within village limits. This prohibition includes individual hunting on private property, professional sharpshooting, and contractor-led deer removal programs. Accordingly, lethal deer culling is not permitted anywhere within the village, including on private residential property. Under Michigan law regarding private property rights, property owners cannot be compelled to allow deer culling or wildlife removal. Access for any deer management activity must be voluntary, and again, my research would suggest that there's no legal mechanism to force participation in a call on private land. Where do deer calls typically occur? Legal deer calls overwhelmingly occur on public land, such as municipal parks, preserves, and golf courses. To be clear, Bingham Farms does not own any public land on which to conduct a deer call. I don't think we own any land of any sort, to my knowledge. Private residential lots are rarely used for deer calls because they pose safety risk, proximity to homes and roads, the parcel size has limitations, and of course there's legal prohibitions. There are examples of neighboring and close communities where there are examples of deer calling, Ann Arbor being one. Ann Arbor established a formal deer management program in 2015. They conducted lethal deer calls between 2016 and 2019 in city-owned parks. They actually combined lethal culling with non-lethal culling, which included female deer sterilization. It was operated under the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, which had to grant special permits, and in fact, Ann Arbor had to temporarily suspend their hunting ordinances. By the way, the reason they did it over multiple years is typically a deer call is not a one-off event. It will have to be done typically over several years to have the impact that the residents might be looking for to lower the deer population. Currently, the Ann Arbor culling program is inactive. The city is now focusing on non-lethal measures and feeding bans. Other than looking at possibly budget constraints, I'm not really sure why Ann Arbor has suspended it, but they have since 2019. Farmington Hills recently approved professional sharpshooter calls and regulated archery hunts after several years of study and public debate. My understanding is those may begin in 2026, next year. Southfield voters have approved a ballot measure directing the city to pursue deer culling with an implementation that's ongoing. Oakland County Parks conducts managed archery hunts on selected parklands. Again, these programs apply primarily to public land and not private residential properties. Bingham Farms experience, there's an issue of deer safety or traffic safety and deer vehicle collisions. Bingham Farms experiences approximately 8 to 9 deer-related vehicle crashes annually, resulting in property damage rather than personal injury. Oakland County reports thousands of deer vehicle collisions each year. We're a small fraction of what actually occurs. Obviously, we're a small village. it's important to note, in Michigan residential communities, approving a deer call typically requires 18 months to 4 or more years. Key steps include data collection on collision, complaints, ecological impacts, public engagement like hearings, surveys, and committees. We have now formed a committee. Ordinance changes or ordinance suspensions. Michigan Department of Natural Resources permits and approvals, contracting professionals and logistics, seasonal implementation. Many proposals stall or fall short due to legal prohibitions, public opposition, cost, even lack of suitable land. Again, that's appropriate in Bingham Farms. Public opposition should be anticipated. It's off because residents often consider it to be an ethical and cultural and emotional issue. Many people believe killing deer is cruel, especially if the deer are healthy, regardless of what the wildlife management experts reason with the residents. Petitions, protests, public meetings are common reactions. It has a cost. Professional deer calls cost, again, by my research, $300 to $600 per deer. That's just for the calling. It costs a lot of money to get to the point of actually doing the call. If you're looking at non-lethal calling like sterilization, it's very significantly higher because the animal has to be trapped and treated. And then there's the police and communication. And most of the calls that are done, they process and donate the venison to food kitchens and others, but you have to pay for the venison processing. Given our current ordinances, deer management in Bingham Farms must rely on non-lethal methods. Non-lethal methods could include physical barriers. This would require Bingham Farms to change current fence ordinances. Most people believe you need something around an 8-foot fence to prevent deer from being able to jump it. Electric fencing could be a possibility. Tree protection devices could be a possibility. Repellents can be used, commercial and natural repellents. Landscaping practices, deer-resistant plant species could be used. Reduce the use of high attraction ornamentals. Habitat modification, remove fallen fruit. At least near me, anywhere there's a crabapple tree, there's a gang of deer under it the entire fall. Reduction of dense cover, elimination of attractants. You can use motion-activated sprinklers, lighting, sound devices. And I don't know, frankly, from a personal perspective, if people are feeding deer in the village of Bingham Farms, but Michigan law does ban the feeding of deer across the entire Lower Peninsula, so that's something that the village could choose to enforce if we see it as a problem. Conclusions from this research: lethal deer culling is prohibited within the village of Bingham Farms. Property owners cannot be forced to allow deer culling on private land. Feeding deer is prohibited under Michigan state law. Most residential deer culls in Michigan occur on public land. Approving a deer cull typically takes years, significant legal action, substantial cost. Non-lethal management, as it stands now, is the only lawful approach available in Bingham Farms. Village may consider continued public education for deer management. I think that's something the committee needs to dedicate itself to work very hard on. Educate people on seasonal driving awareness when deer are moving around more than other times of year. Coordination with county or state agencies on roadway safety and periodic review of deer-related data. Again, I repeat, the findings in this paper demonstrate that without lifting bans on hunting, lethal deer culling is not legally permitted in Bingham Farms. If it still wanted to be pursued, that's something that would have to be done. Deer culling cannot be imposed on private property owners, regardless of the council issue. Deer culling typically takes years of planning, even in communities where it's allowed. Again, I repeat, this is through my own personal observations, my own research. I haven't sent it to the village lawyer. I haven't sent it to other village council members. I would like to hope that as the committee moves forward in looking at ways to implement deer management programs, that at least for the time being, that a deer call may be avoided as one of those topics, simply because of the cost, the timing, and the legal hurdles that might create. Otherwise, I'm a big proponent of having residential committees, and maybe we can find a way to move forward together. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Good job. Nice job. Very good.
there any discussion on that?
It was well presented.
I think it's interesting, I had a call from a neighbor, a new neighbor, and although he's from Franklin, grew up with my son, he reminded me. And he's been a lifelong deer hunter. And he had a lot of information. He said, I'm good on deer behavior and how they respond. And there are things that you can do beyond using firearms. So I think it's, I don't think a deer call is going to be appropriate for this area at this time. But it does lead us in other directions of using other means. And I think that's something that we can pursue. So,
Well, I agreed with your legal analysis, by the way.
Thank
You
you.
did a great job.
I'm a
didn't,
wannabe lawyer, so.
Yeah, I didn't like dive in, but everything
Yeah.
that you said was accurate, and I think what you just said from a legal perspective
Yeah.
is,
not gonna-
I agree, you're in a dense area, and it's all residential, and there's no public land. And I think that the other things that you're identifying would have a better basis legally than the call.
Yeah, I think the collection of the information and the presentation was really good. And I think, we look at the first point of continued public education,
Yes.
right? I think you did a huge start on it.
Yep.
And I think as priorities fit things in for people to investigate and look at different options and continue the discussion over time, it's good to do.
Good.
And Planning Commission is working on something right now.
The fence side,
So I think that waiting until that process plays out and let that process play out and see where that goes. I still stand by my fact that this isn't something that our staff can really take on right now. I think public education, we can do the newsletter and things like that. I know the police department does use social media and remind people about, when the deer start moving, and that kind of thing. So I do believe we're already working with them kind of on that. So if we could start with some public education and trying to up that, but I still would say that, the committee is gonna have to just wait until we can get some of these other huge lifts off of our plate.
Actually, I've already arranged to meet with Josh, because I want to learn more about what he knows, because I'm getting questions about it, and I thought it would be good to.
It's good public education again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and you as a resident can meet with
Right.
anybody you want. I mean, my husband's been a hunter since he could pull back a bow. My son's been a hunter since he could pull back a bow. We own hunting property up north. Like, we're very, very well educated in deer behavior and all
Sure.
of that. But I think that doesn't translate to adding another task to staff. So if you want to meet with him and discuss that, that's fine. I think it's important that we do take the deer call out of the conversation in the community, because it is something that can really tear a community apart. I've seen it happen. And so we can talk about putting some articles together.
Kind of reiterate what Mike was saying, that education, what can individual property owners do to help alleviate some of the deer? That might be certainly a way to go. We really don't have any place that we could do any kind of a hunt of anything anyway. So I think the idea of becoming more and more educated as to what you can do to keep the deer away.
And there's a lot of people that don't want to keep the deer away.
Yeah.
They actually want the deer.
Oh, I know, they're ashamed of it.
It's part of the up north atmosphere that everybody talks about so much here.
It's neat watching them go through until they start eating all your stuff that you just planted.
to add a little bit to this topic, something Jamie and I have already done on our admin end is we've joined the coalition of municipalities here in southeast Michigan that are actually working with DNR. They include City of Southfield, Farmington Hills, so basically all the communities surrounding us that are considering the same thing we're discussing already. They're working with DNR. This is gonna be the best way to do all the fact finding that we're discussing that needs to be done on this subject. This is also the organization through which a municipality has to go through in order to get any of those studies done for any of the options that you wanna consider. So, as far as that committee, I think it'll be a great help once we have that information, once we're at the point where we're actually even able to pursue any of the options.
Well, I thought that you were so busy that you weren't gonna have time to even look at it, so that's why I pursued it with Jeff, or Josh.
Ooh, ever since it was mentioned at a council meeting, we
Yeah.
have joined, and I put in my manager's report last
You
week.
did.
Yeah,
I was
the next
surprised
meeting
that
is
you had
next
time
month.
to do that.
The time that we don't have, that
Mhm.
was discussed and repeatedly mentioned,
Yeah,
was
which is
to
fine. I
set up
understand.
agendas, send out meeting memos, send out, notices that meetings are happening, being here with staff, for meetings that were not originally included in the employment contracts for said staff.
Yeah.
That is the time that we're talking about, that is extra. Participating in a coalition of municipalities that provides us with information once a month at a meeting that we can then bring to the committee, to you, to then make decisions, that does not take a lot of administrative time. And that is what we're doing,
Sure.
by the request of the residents and council.
Good, thank you.
And even if you don't attend every meeting, they still send you all the information that's
Correct.
given, right?
Yep.
Okay, anything else on that topic? So we will move to the treasurer's report, which Jamie is stepping in to help with this.
The first item on the report is the PA 152 resolution. This is approved every year since 2011. Village of Bingham Farms is able to have an exemption for this. So the resolution is in your packet, and a roll call would be appropriate. There's no change from years prior, and we're pretty lucky. We don't have legacy costs here for health insurance, and we are eligible under the exemption option there.
So if somebody would like to make a motion or a resolution?
I'll make a motion for a resolution.
Motion to adopt a resolution.
Motion to adopt a resolution, to adopt the annual exemption option set forth in the 2011 Public Act 152.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Roll call. Miller? Absent. McAlexander?
Aye.
Michigan?
Aye.
Howard? Absent. Hageman?
Aye.
Duroni?
Aye.
Blackburn?
Aye.
All right, the next items are approving the December 2025 bills. Those are in your packet. There will be more to come next month, which are electronic transfers for some of our routine bills, like utilities and such. But I did the very best I could in Bill's absence, so if there's a motion to approve the bills, that would be appropriate.
I move that we approve that.
I'll second.
Any discussion? This, you say roll call.
Yes.
Yes, I'm gonna do roll call.
All right, Hageman?
Aye.
Howard? Absent. Michigan?
Aye.
McAlexander?
Aye.
Blackburn?
Aye.
Duroni?
Aye.
Miller? All right, the next item for your acceptance is the financial statements for November 2025. Nothing out of the ordinary, same thing you get in every packet. If there's any questions, just let me know, but otherwise I'd recommend approval of that.
Is there a motion to accept the financial statements for November of 2025?
I will move we accept the financial statements for November 2025.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Blackburn?
Aye.
Duroni?
Aye.
Hageman?
Aye.
Howard? Absent. Michigan?
Aye.
McAlexander?
Aye.
Miller? Absent.
Thank you very much, and we'll move on to the not to exceed for HRC.
Yep, same that is in your packet, every meeting, that is a not to exceed with highlighted amounts there for you. We are still well within the budget, as Brad kind of indicated already. No motion is necessary on this.
Any questions on that? Okay. Thank you again for doing that. And next is trustee comments. We'll start with trustee Nick Alexander.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That's it.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Everybody have a safe and happy holiday.
I was gonna say ditto, but Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody.
Say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, stay safe. Do we adjourn and then go into closed
You
session?
need
or
a
you just-
motion?
A motion to go into closed session?
Yes, so the suggested motion is on the last page of your packet, I believe.
Okay.
And it is preferable to have the whole motion read.
Thanks, guys.
So,
You
I'll make
have
a
it?
motion, I have
I've
it.
got it. Oh, you got it, Michael?
Yeah. I make a motion to move to a closed session to consult with the attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with pending litigation 2025-219379-AA with Judge Jeffrey S. Mattis as allowed by MCL 15268E.
Thank you. And roll call vote is necessary?
Yeah.
do we need a
Second.
second?
First.
Second?
Oh, second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Hageman?
Aye.
Howard? Mashigian?
Aye.
Nick Alexander?
Aye.
Blackburn?
Aye.
Maroney?
Aye.
Miller?
And then we'll go into closed session.